is, I do think we are nowhere near priced into any kind of like even moderate slowdown. You look at where multiples and earning estimates are; they're still sky high. Um, the chief economist at Apollo Management put out a really interesting slide deck a couple days ago in April, and I'll just share a couple of charts here because this speaks to, I think, regardless of the actuality of the news headlines, tariff this, tariff that, I think the broad takeaway is an increasing distrust and uncertainty, and that in and of itself is enough to put a hamper in people's psychology and market fervor. And I'll just show you a couple of charts from that. Just this is all on the internet. You can go find this, but you see you're already starting to see firms starting to. We're still in the midst of earnings season, so this could change. But we've seen a sharp, increase in the number of companies that are guiding earnings per share estimates lower, as shown here, kind of falling off a cliff. Manufacturing surveys falling off a cliff. CapEx spans starting to, come to a screeching halt. One that I want to talk about here is looking at. There was one on CEO confidence. This is the confidence of CEOs of companies. I've talked to people I know that local businesses that this uncertainty is really affecting their decision making on a day-to-day basis. This can't be a good thing for the market, and I think ultimately this, even if tomorrow we said, oh, let's call it off, let's go back to where things were, 3 months ago, I think there's going to be this lingering distrust in what's the next rug to get pulled. And I think we have to just keep in mind that, and Jesse talked about it, there still is a very ego-driven policy set that is out there. These tax cuts are on the radar for the summer, I think, July, to get approved or not. And it's very difficult cover right now with interest rates not really having dropped that much. Corporate, federal spending, there's not meaningful evidence there that we've solved any kind of budget, deficit concerns or fiscal spending concerns. In fact, I think the Treasury just announced this quarterly, their likely issuance of debt is going to be, several times what they originally had communicated. Some more debt issuance by the Treasury. We have a very convoluted picture here, and usually uncertainty translates to volatility at the very least in markets. So it's highly probable we see a choppy, sideways market with, maybe 2022 is a good analog, where we had, two or three very sizable rallies up to resistance, but a series of lower lows and lower highs. That's just one scenario. I'm not saying that's the main scenario, but we think the easy back to the races scenario is off the table. So I think it's really important for investors to be pragmatic, be cautious, bring it back to their own situations. Worst case scenario is someone's got a really solid foundation and they've taken too much risk, and we get a major decline in markets, and they've just undone a really good situation. I'd say miss out on the upside before you put your solid foundation at great risk.
All right, very well said. And just to note that analogy to this may be a year like 2022, I'm hearing that more and more from the experts that come on this channel. Felix Zulauf and Brent Johnson are two recent ones that come to mind. All right, folks. Well, look, if you enjoyed the conversation with Jesse and would like to have him come back on this program again soon, please let him know that by hitting the like button, then clicking on the subscribe button below, as well as that little bell icon right next to it. And if you are feeling challenged in navigating your wealth through this uncertain and volatile time that we're currently in, and if you're concerned that things might get rockier as we move forward in the year, as Jesse thinks may happen, and John, thinks certainly could happen as well, then I highly recommend that most of the people watching this video seek the guidance of a good professional financial advisor who takes into account all the macro issues discussed here.